Welcome to Your Cochrane Right Now. This is a weekly podcast all about the best town in the world, Cochrane, Alberta. My name's Eric Ruddle, joined by Lauren Meister. And Lauren, last night here in Cochrane, we had something that is very, 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 very rare for Cochrane.
Very.
An active shooter in Sunset Ridge. My goodness, it's scary when those things come out.
Well, yeah, and especially because we often joke that, we really don't have any crime in Cochrane. I mean, we live in a really safe, happy, bubbly, balloons and butterflies and roses kind of town here in Cochrane. So when you hear that an entire neighborhood, the biggest neighborhood in Cochrane, has completely been in lockdown, shelter in place, that is a very scary situation. So you actually live in Sunset. Yes. So how did that feel for you?
It is scary, right? Because it wasn't just like a couple of cop cars. There was a helicopter up there. People didn't really know what was going on. There was very limited information. And when that happens, everybody is, especially for my wife who has a bunch of friends up there, girlfriends up there who are just like, I hear it's over here. No, I hear it's over here. Do you think it was this guy? Oh, I think it's this guy, right? The amount of rumors I have coming from just friends up in Sunset Ridge right now, I think they've solved it. I think they figured it out, pieced it together. Everybody listens to those true crime podcasts and they're like, we have this. So thankfully, no one was hurt.
Yes, that's the main thing.
But there were shots fired and the person ran away and all that stuff. And thankfully, it only lasted like an hour. But it's also funny because lots of people didn't know what was happening with social media going black.
Well, that's exactly it. So over the last week or so, it's been a huge change on our end because that's kind of how we get our messaging out is we, obviously we have the radio, but we also write our news stories. And then once we have our news stories, we typically would push that out through social media. We can't do that anymore. And it's not even just us doing that. We can't, other people can't share anything at all, any kind of news article on any kind of form of social media. So it's really, really tricky to get things out. So we've seen on social media today people saying, I didn't even know about this last night. So they're concerned about other things in the future because how do you find out about, big major news events?
And everyone's example was, what if there's an Amber Alert, right? Well, Amber Alerts kind of go past the social media. We get alerts to our phones and all that stuff. That's the extreme of the extremes. But a small town shooting isn't going to let us past Facebook's algorithms and all that stuff. And truly, if you don't have a business page in the media world, when we log in as Cochrane Now, the entity, it is nuked. We cannot see any of our previous posts. We cannot see any of our photos. We cannot even see our cover photo. It is completely
gone.
It is completely gone. We've been running this Facebook page for 6-7 years.
Yeah.
All that history.
We've lost all of our photos, all of our history, our videos, everything.
Right? So it's not just people trying to look at us. We've actually lost all that history that we kept on social media through Instagram as well. And it is like from a radio station in Cochrane, Alberta, who has nothing to do with Facebook or Instagram and the big boys playing. It just sucks.
It really does. It really does. So, I mean, obviously we were still able to get the messaging across to, thousands of people last night. We still have our website. Obviously, we were able to push that out through our app, which is awesome. We have the Cochrane Now app. A lot of people do have that, but there's still that wider reach that a lot of people still rely on. So it's definitely a learning curve to have people, who did rely on getting their news from social media, and now they're not able to do that.
And we also put together a radio show, right? And you could scroll through Facebook and find a lot of topics and see what's going on in the world. That is, my Facebook, honestly, is awful now.
Yeah.
I scroll it for maybe 30 seconds. I see ads. I see pictures of my aunt's cats, and then there's nothing.
And
right?
that's it.
I don't know if this is going to change. Who knows what's going to happen? But I really do feel for everyone who just wants to keep up with local news but doesn't want to bounce everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It is really annoying, and especially if you missed out on an active shooting. So that was the excitement this week here in Cochrane. But there is also something happening in the Cochrane Ranch, and I hear there's also reports of maybe a cougar in different parts of Cochrane now.
Yeah, so this cougar in your neck of the woods up in Sunset, the cougar, the shooter, you know, I'm not sure how I feel.
The shooter riding a cougar?
Well, yeah, I mean, and like how's real estate going for you up in Sunset?
Okay.
A cougar and a shooter, and I don't know. But yeah, no, I was hearing actually rumors again that there might have been a cougar in my neck of the woods, the other end of town, over in the Riversong Riviera area. Mm-hmm.
Now, there is like, the thing with cougars is we always, at this time of year, we are surprised. We don't have a lot of bear sightings. Usually it is all bears all the time from like August 1st to September 15th. Bears.
Mm-hmm.
Right now it doesn't seem like bears. It's the kitties, but you don't actually see the cougar. So I have yet to see a picture of a cougar posted on social media other than like a stock photo being like, hey, there's been a couple of videos where you kind of see like a stalking kind of walking past somebody's fence. But the thing with cougars are you don't see them until you see them.
Well, exactly. I mean, they're sneaky. They hide up in the trees and they're really sly, and you're not going to see them until they kind of bounce.
Well,
they're kitties.
From what we've heard, we don't have a lot to worry about as long as you're not like going through the bush at midnight by yourself, being really quiet, make some noise, travel with a group.
Yeah, exactly.
It shouldn't be bad, but it is a mama cougar.
Yeah, so apparently it is a mama and maybe some kittens as well. Although, talking to Fish and Wildlife, they haven't received an official report, even though there have been some videos out there.
How cute do you think those kittens are, though?
Well, that's the thing.
They're probably pretty sweet.
I mean, maybe if you caught the mama cougar at the right time, you could pet the kittens.
Yeah.
Probably not worth the risk, but man, those kittens do look pretty cute.
Yeah, so just keep an eye out all over Cochrane. There's kind of these reportings and sightings and rumors and stuff. And the free food sheds here in Cochrane are an excellent service. It's ran by Helping Hands Society, and they rescue food here in town to fill the free food shed. So they go to 2 different grocery stores in town. I know Starbucks helps them out, and they take all the food they can't sell. Well, this week they announced, hey, over the past 2 years, we've rescued $1 million.
That number is incredible. And it's what's so incredible about it is if they hadn't started doing this, over $1 million worth of food would have just gone in the garbage. It's something so simple. They're just taking food from grocery stores that would just go in the garbage, and they're just moving it to a different spot into the free food sheds. It's still good food. There's nothing wrong with it. And people are instead eating it and using it, and it's just not going to a landfill.
Now, it was really cool because we got to talk to them at Food Fest. Helping Hands was set up there, and they said actually people were coming up and saying, hey, just so you know, your free food shed saved our life. Or your free food shed let us get through that week till the paycheck. Let me feed my kids. And it's just so incredible that like $1 million in 2 years, and they're saying they could get even more sheds. They'd be filled and emptied every single day. They're hoping to get the other grocery stores, wink, wink, hint, hint, onto the program as well, because they have Safeway and Save On Foods that they rescue from right now. So it is just incredible that, yet again, volunteer ran.
Yeah.
And we've heard stories of as soon as they fill the food sheds, they're emptied.
I couldn't believe actually talking to April over at Helping Hands how quickly the food sheds become empty. And just that number, though, it was just over $1 million in 2 years, just by going and picking up some food from the grocery store.
That's like 5 bags of groceries now, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's pretty good. And of course, the big change. So right now, the big change in traffic is the traffic circle. Up at the 1A22 intersection, just north of it, they put in a traffic circle, which I think kind of caught people's attention and diverted from the fact that Main Street is about to be closed down for a month.
Mm-hmm. A month. It's kind of hard to wrap your head around a month because it hasn't actually happened yet. We've actually known about this for about a month because they keep on saying it's about to be closed,
it's coming.
And then it gets delayed, and then it's going to happen again, and then it's delayed again. But now it's actually going to spill over into when school starts. So we're going to have to deal with school traffic and school buses because it's right in front of the Powell Street School. And that school is opening up once again this year.
Thoughts and prayers to those families because, you will not. So if you are going on Center Ave, which is the main Ave here in Cochrane, it leads down to the quarry and stuff. Mm-hmm. At First Ave, at First Street, those lights right before you hit the railway tracks, that will be closed down.
For a month.
All detours, they'll flip you around. You'll have to go back the other way.
And like you and I have kind of been caught in some of the construction over in the East End. And like it's an obstacle course if you don't do it every day. You got to, we got lost pretty much.
So that is coming any day now. Mm-hmm. And you got to imagine people are going to be really excited. I'm just hoping that, fingers crossed, they don't get like halfway done ripping it all up and then it snows.
Don't even say the S word.
Snowtember has happened so many times.
Snowtember has happened.
Right? So if they get like 3/4 of the way in, just enough to keep the road wrecked and then it just freezes over. It's going to be a ton of fun in Cochrane.
Yeah. Well, let's hope that they can be really speedy and it's not going to happen.
I think this is the most news-filled podcast we've had. Shootings, traffic issues, millions of dollars raised.
Cougars.
And cougars, yes. If you want to catch this podcast, it's available on all your favorite podcast services and on YouTube as well or on cochranenow.com. Until next time, we'll talk to you again soon.
Yep.